What's going down, folks? It's your boy C back on the Madden 17 franchise, back with another recap video for you guys. For those of you guys that have been following this series, you guys know how this works already. We're just going to dive into some team stats, some player stats. I'm going to show you some awards, as well as share with you my thoughts on a few things that happened during the season. Now, as you guys already know, my Falcons did their thing last season. We pretty much ran through the entire NFL, and we came up one game short of a perfect season, going 15-1, and eventually knocking off the Jacksonville Jaguars in Super Bowl 53. Now, there was a little controversy early on in the season with the quarterback change, and a lot of you guys felt one way versus the other, but at the end of the day, I think we made the right call in sticking with Zach Anderson. So getting on to the league awards, Russell Wilson is your league MVP. I think this may be the second time that he's won it. Somebody go back and check season 1. I think he won in season 1 also. But check out the player at number 6 on this list, you guys. To my surprise, at some point during this season, Dre Eubanks was an MVP candidate. Now, we all gave Dre Eubanks a hard time at some point throughout the season, especially later in the year. But in order for him to make that list, he must have done something right along the way. But even still, you guys, it wouldn't be the worst thing for us to bring in some more competition at running back, just to see if we can get some more production out of the running game, but we'll see how that pans out. Now, moving on to the Coach of the Year award, somehow Rex Ryan got the nod at the top spot there. I'm not quite sure how that happened when Dan Quinn's sitting at the number 2 spot with the 15-1 record, but it is what it is. Rex Ryan's the top guy of the year, along with some other pretty noteworthy names here. Got Jason Garrett at the 3 spot, Pete Carroll, and then Marvin Lewis got that Bengals program turned around. So now we're going to move on and take a look at the passing leaders in the NFL last season, and Aaron Rodgers, to no one's surprise, is at the very top of the list, putting up 4,713 yards, 34 touchdowns to go with 19 picks. But check out how many times he threw the ball, you guys. 666 times. That is ridiculous, especially when you consider the fact that the remaining quarterbacks in the top 10, they all threw for 150 less attempts than Aaron Rodgers. That's pretty insane. Now, our guy Zach Anderson isn't going to have anywhere near close to the production that the top 10 quarterbacks had this year, simply because he didn't play a full season. He only had 272 passing attempts, but out of those attempts, he completed 195 passes for 2,837 yards, 20 touchdowns to go with 11 picks. I want to try to get that pick number down in the single digits next season, but even with that, I'm really happy about the 71% completion percentage on the year. I think just about any quarterback will take that. Now, on to the rushing stats of the year. Devontae Freeman of the Buffalo Bills is your rushing leader, you guys, putting up 1,750 yards rushing on 382 carries. But take a look at who's coming in 2 spots below at the 3rd spot. Dre Eubanks. Dre had 1,615 yards on 264 carries, and what's even more impressive than that is the yard per carry average. He almost got 6 yards a carry. To me, that's just about as efficient as you can be in the running game. Now, I know these numbers do paint a completely different picture than what a lot of you guys saw later in the season, but if you look at the full body of work, it's not difficult to argue that Dre did in fact have a great year. Now, I did state earlier in this video that bringing in some more competition at the running back spot could be a good thing, and I'm going to stand by that. But if Dre puts up these types of numbers again next season, I'll be more than happy with that type of production, so we'll see how everything plays out in the long run. The receiving leaders list is a little bit disappointing to me this season because Julio Jones came in at the number 5 spot. He's usually hovering around 1 or 2 on average, but the main difference this season was the emergence of Kevin Body, as well as a change at quarterback around the mid-season mark. But Julio still did his thing, and I'm probably going to look to feature him a lot more going into next season. Now, like I just mentioned a second ago, KB really stepped up this year, and if you guys remember back to a couple of seasons ago when I drafted him, wide receiver was not a huge need at the time, so this was more like a best player available pick, and I'd say it definitely panned out with going KB in the 1st round. Now, onto the defensive side of the ball, I think the sack numbers are a little bit too crazy from a couple of guys on this team. I don't really know if Madden is accurately counting the sack number along the way, but it does seem like Keon Fontenot's 15.5 sacks is a little bit high. And the same goes for Malik Austin at the D tackle spot. I'm not really sure those are accurate numbers, but it feels like Vic Beasley's are pretty much on par, and the same with Taylor Till. So that'll definitely be something that I monitor going into next season, and if the quarterback sacks are out of control in that way, I'm definitely going to have to tune it down in the sliders. Now, the last thing that I'm going to cover with you guys before we get out of here are the interception leaders. Josh Norman's at the top of the list, followed by Vontae Davis and Harrison Smith. As for any players on my Falcons team, well, last season we really didn't put up interception numbers, But I am expecting a lot more going into next season because we got a lot of guys going into their second and third year. And as I start to develop the players in the offseason, I want to put a lot more emphasis on catching. So hopefully a lot more of those plays with the DBs are close to intercepting it, but they drop it. Eventually those will turn into interceptions. So we'll see how that plays out. Anyways, you guys, that's all the time I got for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm signing off, and I'll see you in the next one.